Welcome to my video on screenplay formatting relatives to a couple more advanced screenplay formatting techniques. I want to talk a little bit about flashbacks and a little bit about montages and what are also called series of shots. A series of shots and a montage are kind of similar to one another, but I wanted to tackle that as a little bit more of an advanced screenplay formatting technique that you guys can take a look at. Also, we'll get into flashbacks too. So first up, I wanted to show you guys the script for the Pixar film Up. So this is the script for the Pixar film Up. This is starting on page 10. We see this is sort of basically a montage in a way. So this is the montage of the couple growing old together. And so you'll notice that there's no indication that this is going to be a montage at all. It doesn't say, here's the montage, or it doesn't say anything like that, right? There's no formatting that says that. Instead, what you see is you see scene headings with very brief action description sections. Very little. This is all played. We'll look through it and see if there's any dialogue, but I'm almost positive there's little to no dialogue in this entire sequence. We could have labeled this a montage, but it'd be a pretty long montage. There is, however, a section of the montage where it is really, really, really quick shots. And when we get there, you'll see that it's noted that it is a series of shots, which I kind of like that. I kind of like not using a montage screenplay heading at all, script formatting, not formatting it that way, just doing short scenes and then doing a series of shots, which I think is kind of cool too. So we'll take a look at it, what it looks like. So interior church day, and there's a description of that. And then it kind of starts to go a little bit faster. So we go from the interior church day to exterior dilapidated house day. And we're seeing a story sort of unfolding. You'll notice that we're not seeing like moments later. These are like days because this is the passage of time throughout the couple's lifetime. And it effectively is operating as if it's a montage. Here's a slightly longer description here. But again, it's showcasing to us things that we have experienced in our own lives related to love or family and the connection we have with other human beings. And it's done. I mean, this is probably one of my best top sequences in motion picture history. I think it's really fantastic. I think what they do here is really amazing. Continue to go through the shots. I'm going to go a little faster here. There's so much communicated through here. Obviously, now we're in the doctor's office. We're going to come back to the doctor's office, I believe, later. But there's so much being communicated here, and there's no dialogue. There's just this montage of images where we understand that this is a couple who understands one another, who loves one another, who wants to be together, who wants to be around each other. It's just beautiful storytelling. And there's no break in the types of scene headings that we've already seen. Last time I talked a little bit about the comma. So you see the comma here in the scene headings and how that's the not perfect way of doing it. But again, we've taken a look at 3 scripts that have used that formatting. So anytime I see an expert say it's not the technical way of doing it, I go, 3 of the scripts that we've looked at are considered some of the best scripts, in modern history. So give me a break. Like if it's got a formatting thing that doesn't work, that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Maybe we should all use that and have it work, and that just becomes the normal format. Anyways, this is the next area that I wanted to get into because you see the series of shots. The series of shots, that's kind of similar to a montage. The jar slowly fills as Carl and Ellie toss in spare change. Now, why does it say the series of shots? And then we get like line by line different things, right? So their car blows a tire. The 2 stand by the jar, reluctant. Carl breaks the jar. Okay. The reason why it's saying this is because to the viewer, this is going to be a lot of quick cuts or a lot of quick shots. It just so happens that these all take place around the same theme or the same item, right? So what's the big deal here? It's them utilizing money from their spare change jar, and how that's something that this couple is facing when it's, because of course the bigger picture here is that they're dealing with trying to be mindful of their finances. And so we see all of this series of shots. Like I said, the jar slowly fills as Carl and Ellie toss in spare change. Their car blows a tire. The two stand by the jar reluctant. Carl breaks the jar. It would be pretty annoying to see scene headings for every single one of these shots. And so therefore they say series of shots, and then they just go through and show us what the shots are in one line. By the way, these are super effective lines. So, and of course, Pixar is going to go through multiple rounds of animation changes, multiple rounds of people viewing this and saying like, okay, well, what if it looks like this, or what if it looks like that? Animation can do that a lot better than live action can, because you don't want to have to go through the same setups again. All they have to do is reanimate scenes that they've already drawn potentially, whereas in real life you'd have to call the actors back, call everybody else back. It's a lot more intense, but they're able to do a series of shots. Another way that you see a series of shots utilized pretty extensively is like when you see, let's say that a bride and her bridesmaids and family members go dress shopping. And so like what you might see is a series of shots, and then she tries on the first dress, she tries on the second dress and spins. Her friends tease her about something, like whatever, like that would be like all these little things. There's passage of time. There even may be location changes, as you see here in the up script. But the essential thing is that it's all quick. It all goes by pretty fast, and it's all related to a singular topic to a degree. In this case, it is the jar and using money from the jar. In the dress example, it is trying on wedding dresses. So, again, pretty interesting. Just going to throw this out because I'm seeing it here. Like we see the front hall 3 years later. Again, very specific, so that's kind of interesting. But then they're telling us the different tires or the different ties that he's wearing. And so they're trying to give us an indication of what that looks like. Then we go to 30 years later. So that's pretty interesting. And then the next time we see them, Carl's in his 60s. So they're showing the passage of time through all of these different shots and so on and so forth. Okay, so I've pulled up the Avengers Endgame script because I wanted to show you what a flashback could look like. So we've kind of seen what a series of shots would look like. And by the way, if you were going to do a montage, it would look very similar to the series of shots. It would just be montage and then lines, right? Lines of passing time, all related to some similar thing. Maybe it's an adventure that needs to be communicated. It's the passing of time. Probably, I haven't taken a look at the script, but in a movie like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, you see things where they've stolen the car and they're like doing various things throughout town. That might be a montage. The thing I wanted to show you now, though, in the Avengers script is actually related to flashbacks and how you would denote a flashback. So here we're in the interior of the Benatar, the flight deck at night. There's a scene unfolding. We stay in space, so now we're looking outside the Benatar, looking at the Benatar. It sparks adrift, and then we're going to enter a flashback. And so this is just indicating that Tony is thinking back on what has occurred, because we started with Tony kind of in the current modern day. They're running out of oxygen, and now he's thinking about his time he's spent with Nebula in this flashback. And so the interesting thing here is that the other way you could denote a flashback is that you could, now we know they're in space, right? So whether or not it's day or night is not as big of a deal, because we know it's just really dark outside and no one's going to know the difference anyways. I think saying space is probably enough. But one of the things you might want to, you would want to let people know, especially if it mattered to the script, is whether or not the flashback was taking place during the day, during the night, whatever. So one of the things I would probably recommend would be doing like interior, Benatar, galley, night, flashback. Again, it doesn't matter here because they're in space, so the passage of time is not what we're expecting when you're on Earth. But just for context, that's how you do a flashback. it's pretty straightforward. You just denote that it's a flashback. In fact, I need to add that to the script I'm currently working on, because the script I'm currently working on does have flashbacks, and I haven't added that to my scene headings just yet. So that's how you do a little bit more complex scene heading formatting, a series of shots, which is very similar to a montage. I like the way that Up does it, where they don't say there's a montage. If there are short scenes that are going to be maybe a couple different lines of action or description, then they just make it a short scene. But when they wanted to do a really quick shots in their series of shots, they labeled it as such and then had that. And then, of course, we had the flashback as well. So hopefully that is helpful to you. And that helps with your writing journey. Let me know if you have any questions related to screenplay formatting, and I will be glad to address them for you. And then if you want to read any of these scripts, I can post them here in the club as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.